Engamana, Engareo, Engamatawaka, Etemoto, Tenakatoa, Tenakatoa, Tenakatoa Katoa, no Riera. I hope I haven't butchered those words. Talofalava, Nisambula, Maleolele, Kiorana, Iorana, Maori, Fakalofa Laheatu, Malo Reokwe, Halo Olgeta, Kamawiromo, Namaste, Kia ora, and warm Pacific greetings to you all. Honourable members of Parliament, I don't see the New Zealand High Commissioner here yet, but members of the visiting delegation, and of course our own USP staff and students, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. I'm really honoured as Vice Chancellor of the University of the South Pacific to welcome you to our beautiful Lothala Bay campus, and in particular to our Oceania Center for Arts, Culture and Pacific Studies. And I think in a little while you'll be witnessing some cultural performances by our students, which are an absolute delight. Whenever we come here, it's just a joy to see what actually happens here. But I think today it's particularly fitting that we are in this space, a space created by the late Professor Apeli Hauofa as a center of excellence for the creative arts of our oceanic region. So welcome to his home, welcome to our home, and welcome to your home. Indeed, in the words of Hauofa, we're all connected and bound together by our moana. And in his words, and I quote, he said, "Just as the sea is an open and ever-flowing reality, so should our oceanic identity transcend all forms of insularity to become one that is openly searching, inventing, and welcoming." As the university in which the late Professor Hauofa spent a considerable amount of his earthly time, we're immensely proud of his contribution to what has become the paradigm in which our contemporary Pacific, its nations, its leaders, and its people are shaping strategies and action plans to confront challenges and realize opportunities. In the tradition of his ancestors, Hauofa was a master navigator, and as such, in his mind's eye, he could see into the future and what was coming over the horizons. He knew that as a region, our collective strength would provide a formidable mantle to empower us. And he also said, and I quote, "We should not be defined by the smallness of our islands, but in the greatness of our oceans. We are the sea," Hoffa said, "we are the ocean, Oceania is us." In her recent Pacific lecture delivered at the Lowy Institute in Australia, the Prime Minister of Samoa, the Honourable Fiame Matafa, drew from the same quotation of Hauofa and also added, and I quote, she said, "The Blue Pacific narrative will strengthen the existing policy frameworks that harness the ocean as a driver of a transformative socio-cultural, political, and economic development of the Pacific, and it gives renewed impetus to deepening Pacific regionalism. We know that we can do more together than alone." There is an element of poetic resonance and symmetry in those words of the Samoan Prime Minister, as it was, of course, the Honourable Prime Minister's late parents who were instrumental in the setting up of this university 55 years ago. Her father, Samoa's first Prime Minister, was amongst the region's leaders who founded this institution, and of course her mother was our very first Pro-Chancellor and Chair of our Council. And indeed, the current Prime Minister of Samoa also was the Pro-Chancellor of our university for a considerable amount of time. This visionary foundation laid down by our Pacific forebears has made USP the greatest success story of regional cooperation. where the richness of diversity of experiences has formed the foundation of hope and choice, and has established a network of learning to know, learning to do, and learning to be, and learning to share. Where ancient familial links honed by shared challenges and resource constraints are the catalyst for enduring regional partnerships in enhancement and empowerment through higher education. USP has been and continues to be a bedrock for that regionalism, a resource owned by the region, for the region, and a precious institution that needs to be protected in line with the vision of our forebearers. Our graduates have filled critical roles, and many have gone on to be the leaders in their own right across all sectors in their respective countries. Indeed, we're so proud of our alumni who have become prime ministers, presidents, ministers of cabinet, and leaders of the public and private sector in our member countries. I fondly remember in 2019 when I had my inauguration, the president of the Students' Union saying, "Vice Chancellor, please don't forget that this is our Harvard. We don't actually care about global institutions. This is for us what we all aspire to be at." So we're very proud of our many alumni who are leaders in the public and private sectors in New Zealand and have made and continue to make an immensely invaluable contribution to the development of New Zealand and, of course, to our greater Pacific region. And I acknowledge the presence this morning of Dr. Kabini Sangha, a long-standing member of USP Council in the delegation. Both he and his wife Jennifer were once students on this campus not too long ago. And of course, Kabini was the president of our Students Association. So a special welcome to you, Dr. Sangha. Which reminds me that in a recent tweet that went viral, the Honorable Simon Kofe from Tuvalu, the foreign minister, said that USP is where he met his wife. And that tweet was commented on by hundreds of other USP alumni who also said that they too had met their spouses and partners at USP. So even in that sphere, I should add that we're contributing more than our fair share to regional cooperation and partnerships. Distinguished guests, we are on the former site of the New Zealand Air Force Base, gifted to the peoples of the Pacific by your government for establishment of this university in 1968. Some of the original Air Force buildings are still around us, including the concrete structure right next to us and the houses adjacent to us. These were accommodation for officers and other Air Force personnel over 80 years ago. So although we've refurbished some of these buildings, particularly in the Oceania Center, a lot of the campus still retains a lot of the original buildings. They must have had very good contractors in those days. As you see, this very campus is a testament of USP's long and enduring relationship and partnership with New Zealand. And shortly, we will be signing, once the Deputy Prime Minister arrives, our new 10-year partnership through which we will chart new waters to secure better futures for the generations to come. It's fitting that I finish with more of Epeli's words, given that we are in his particular space, and in keeping with the spirit of this creative space that was so special to him. And he said, "We draw inspiration from the diverse patterns that have emerged from the successes and failures in our adaptation to the influence of the sea. We may even together make new sounds, new rhythms, new choreographies, and new songs and verses about how wonderful and terrible the sea is and how we cannot live without it." Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, again, a very warm welcome to USP, and in particular, welcome to the Oceania Center for Arts, Culture, and Pacific Studies, Together, let's make new sounds. Let's make new rhythms, new choreographies, new songs and verses. Thank you very much. Vinaka